Babu, the founder and managing director of UCAM Private Limited and past president of the Indian Machine Tool Manufacturers Association, that is IMTMA. Coming from a mechanical engineering background, he began his career at Bharat Electronics Limited before venturing into entrepreneurship by setting up a CNC job shop in 1986. He has also served as the past president of the Bangalore Machine Tool Manufacturers Network. Mr. Indradev Babu has widely traveled and built a robust export business. He has an avid model aircraft enthusiast, including building and flying drones. Today, Mr. Indradev will give us a brief view of the growth and sustenance of MSMEs. So delegates, let's welcome Mr. Indradev.
Thank you so much, Rajeshwari, for a very nice and warm introduction. Let me very briefly talk about what we are doing in UCAM because it has a connect with the MSME. UCAM Private Limited, we are situated, our head office is in Pune and Bangalore, and the manufacturing facilities in Dabbaspet, also in Bangalore. We are in four business areas. One is what we are well known for is CNC rotary indexing tables for metal cutting applications, and we supply these tables to particular machining center users through OEMs or directly. We also export this product, and we are well accepted in the market. The other business is we produce precision gear cutting machines. The CNC gear hopper is something that we are offering now for some years, and it's a high performance, high tech product, and we are moving forward to produce other type of gear making machines like spiral bevel gears and other types of gear machines also we will be developing as we go by. Thirdly, we also produce specialty motors, more custom built motors for defense, aerospace and machine tool applications. Predominantly these are torque motors, that is low speed, high torque motors. But we also produce customized motors for other applications, including medical and already I mentioned defense. Another business is where we do trading. So as a MSME company, we have moved into different areas, and why I will share about that, and the connect with MSMEs also I will share. I will my talk will have two components. One about what MSME people, MSME interested people can go into the area of aerospace, what is my thoughts on a specific area and what is happening in our country. And the other aspect would be about, using the word sustenance, all MSME typical problems, and what is my journey there, and what would be my inputs for MSMEs who may be listening to this talk. Because I want to be very brief, and it's going to be general in talk, and I hope listeners will carry something with them. Now, in the field of aerospace, there is an emerging opportunity for MSMEs to go into new businesses, which is the drone business. All of us have heard about drones, and particularly of recent, more and more we read about it and hear about it. And perhaps there are listeners who are already into this business. My own passion, as you already mentioned, started from a hobby, building model aircraft and moving into drones. And for me, that is more a hobby. But we did some business with drones for a DRDO, some very high specialty drone, but later we decided that is not really in line with our business principles, and we will perhaps do some other things in drone, like drone components, but not get into drones per se. So what I wish to share is that, somewhere in 2000, the drone started very early, but somewhere after 2010, the drone started becoming very popular, and it caught the attention of many people and the fancy of many, and ideas started to come together as to how we can apply the drones in different areas. And drones started becoming popular, and they started to fly here and there, and the government was very perturbed with it because of security concerns. And in 2014, all drones were completely banned. So no drones were allowed, and unfortunately, this at that time stifled a lot of drone business, drone activities, associated hobby activity. Everybody was scared to venture into drones because it would become an offense. But in 2021 August, the government of India came out with a new liberalized policy on drones, which was it was a big game changer for drones. The intention of the government was that drone can be a huge new business contributor and a business by itself, and can give a lot of opportunity for employment, and as well as several technologies to develop and entrepreneurs to move forward. So when this policy was announced, there's a huge buzz of activity, and many startups dived into developing drones and getting into the business. Because I will give you some statistics right now. As per BIS research, the global business opportunity by 2026 is expected to be $21.9 billion. And India's own business opportunity for drone business by 2026 is $1.8 billion, which is a quite substantial part of the global business. And the government of India has a plan that by 2030 that it wants India to be a global hub for drones in the global market. So this means a lot. And what the government did, they brought out policy also incentive, the incentive schemes so that they can accelerate, businesses can be accelerated for both drone business and drone components. Now, having said this, this has a huge opportunity for MSMEs to get into. I know this talk is not sufficient to give a lot of in-depth. I'm sure a lot of research can be done, but very briefly, let me say that you could, the drone business, the opportunities can be immense. Drone construction and supplying of drones of different models, specifications, depending on applications and so on and so forth. The software required for drones is another huge opportunity. The business for that is humongous. And today, all these software are practically imported, because it's just not the flight controller software. The software that is required, and so many allied software are, opportunities are there, starting from even apps that you have to go on your phone. So then you have the drone components. There is a variety of ways that you can do so many different components. High-tech parts are there, and then low-tech parts are also there. So MSME companies can choose what they would like to do, and they get into this business, drones, and then support the supply chain required by the drone makers. Now, if you go into drone service, there is a lot of, again, opportunities, because somebody in drone making may not want to do service, and the user, let's talk about agriculture. What is happening in agriculture is that labor is becoming expensive. The agricultural labor is becoming extremely difficult, and automation is the only way, and drone gives a lot of a scale to solve this issue. And the government has looked at it and working on it. So, but then a small agriculturalist may not want to own a drone and operate the drone. So what comes into play is a service organization which have a huge number of drones, which will provide the agricultural, maybe spraying or maybe mapping, because in mapping by looking at the color of the crop, you will know when is it the right time to do any activity in agriculture. So there's a huge plethora of activities allied with zone, and zone delivery is another aspect, varieties of deliveries. Then a mapping and inspection are other opportunities. Medical emergencies, all kinds of emergencies, drones are already playing a big role. So this is a huge opportunity for the entrepreneurs to get into this business. So this is what I want to say, where MSMEs can build. Drone is a very appropriate area for MSMEs to get into. Capitals are comparatively less, but then they have to lay the road by inventing the way to move forward in this business, because everything is new and nothing is yet tried and tested. Now, if I have a few more minutes, do I have? In this 2 minutes, I will give a little bit take on what I have to say for sustenance of MSMEs. The scenario, typically of an MSME is the owner of an MSME, he does everything. He's multitasking from, when he starts the company, from sweeping floors to installing his equipment, going to the customer to bring some orders, going to doing the ordering of materials, managing his people, designing his product, everything, he has to do. So he has very less bandwidth to actually strategize. And he's really at customer's mercy at times, running with the customer, and he's having huge challenges. This is a typical manufacturing MSME as I'm talking about, not the scenario of a startup, which is heavily funded by different, I'm talking about core MSMEs. So I've gone through this journey and I have struggled immensely to come out of this kind of a ceiling, kind of a glass ceiling. To break it and come out of it is a huge challenge for MSMEs. But my simple take for that will be that you have to be, first of all, leadership skills. You have to continue to learn on leadership skills. And the most primary aspect of the leadership skill is the human aspect of it. How good are you as a human leader? And what can you do? How can you be more human in your ways that you can run your business with your partners, with your employees, with your customers? Then you must learn to be a problem solver. So I'm not just talking about crisis management, but when I say problem solving, how can you prevent a problem from reoccurring? Okay? Typical mentality of a MSME is, okay, somehow resolve the problem, run, and then the problem reoccurs, and again you continue to suffer, and you kind of live with the problem. So the learning ability to prevent problems reoccurring. Third is about finance. Typically technical people in MSMEs have this issue of financial management, but you need to know, have a very good, and particularly I say this to people, technical leaders in MSMEs, that you need to be strong in finance, and particularly you should know how to manage cash. Cash is king, and how you have to have cash. And then there's typical rules: never use short-term funds for long-term purposes. Never buy a capital equipment with your working capital. So these are simple rules that they have to follow. Discipline is very important. And finally, I want to say that you must learn to bounce off ideas. And the best way to do this is to find a mentor. It's very important to be in a listening mood and be throwing open your questions and ideas on what you wish to do, how do you want to solve your problem, by being humble enough and reaching out to friends or to a formal mentor. So these are some inputs for you to know, for you to become sustainable model in MSME and grow from there. Thank you, Rajeshwari, for these inputs. I hope I am in time. Thank you.